Hello, everyone. I'm Andrea Witwer, and I'm going to give you a short update on Study 3 of the RRTC grant, Best Practices. Just to remind you all, our goal was to create best practice guidelines for psychotherapy with the goal to advance mental health and behavioral health treatment for adults with IDD. Our goal was to look at all the available research related to this topic and to create guidelines for research and the delivery of high-quality mental health and behavioral health for adults with IDD. The first step that we've completed is the scoping literature review that I know I've talked about in years past. We now have one manuscript or one paper that we've submitted to a journal and gotten some feedback on, and we're in the process of revising. We are finalizing and hope to submit very shortly the next paper, which is on practices and accommodations that have been used. And finally, we have a paper specifically related to behavior interventions that Dr. Margaret Rosenkranz is heading up that should be coming out soon. So just to give you a little bit of an update of what we've learned from our first paper, which was really looking at the quality of the research that was done, we identified a few areas where research can really work on improving so that we can really move research forward to get to that point of guidelines. One of them is making sure that we're describing the participants in the studies well. Using really clear outcome measures is another one. The other piece is looking at clinical rigor, or how quality are these studies in general? Are they doing things using manuals, doing things such that other people can validate what they've done by replicating it? And finally, there were some key aspects to the statistical analysis that were done that we're missing in a lot of the papers as far as their reporting. The practices and accommodations paper was a really interesting project. We found that 76% of the studies we reviewed explicitly, that means they actually reported in their results using some type of accommodation. Now that can be very different from study to study. We saw them talking about 44% said particularly that they simplified language. This could be something such as adjusting the language level, shortening the sentences, avoiding difficult words. Sometimes it was using strategies to simplify concepts such as games, social stories, modeling, or role play. Visual supports were reported by researchers in 54% of the studies. Some of these were handouts. Other times they use workbooks. PowerPoint presentations like I'm using here, or flip charts like you see up here. There's also examples of diaries and games and some others as well. So you see here's one by Cooney and colleagues that use this visual representation of different concepts by using these different types of mats. You can also see making this idea of changing thoughts, which is a strategy used in cognitive behavior therapy, is looking at your red light. You look at your red traffic light and see if your thought is true or helpful, and then see if you can turn it to a green traffic light to make themselves feel better. Overwhelmingly, studies included caregivers. Caregivers could be a family member or a staff member, and this could be done with including them throughout the whole session as a therapy partner. There could be separate sessions with teaching related to the caregiver, a separate support group for caregivers, the caregiver could be used to provide information on the individual, or to just help them in the home to do the homework that the therapist had given them. A small amount would also teach some of the skills needed for therapy beforehand, such as understanding emotions, or understanding the idea of cognitive behavior therapy in general. After doing that, we've switched and we're now working on focus groups. So we've done focus groups with clinicians that work with individuals with IDD giving therapy and asked about their experiences. There have been a number of different themes that have come up, such as confidentiality being regularly revisited with clients. Therapists really talked about including empowering people in the therapy process and giving them self-determination when it came to their therapy goals, as well as different aspects of it. They talked about meeting people where they are, building relationships, the different benefits of therapy, accommodations, as well as how they involve caregivers We're really excited. That'll be the next paper that we'll write up and be able to report on those results. Finally, we are now recruiting for our focus groups for individuals with intellectual disability who have gone through therapy. So if you all want to get information to share with your friends and researchers, with your colleagues, that would be fabulous. We're looking for adults who have mental health needs and have had some type of treatment in the past. We are now doing our focus groups virtually due to COVID-19. It's been really great because we've been able to, with the clinicians, talk to clinicians from all over the US, and we're hoping to be able to do the same thing with the adults with intellectual disability. And that's our update for now. Thanks so much.